Reykjavik, Iceland's gateway to the world, one of the smallest metropolis on Earth. Around 106,000 people live in this, the northernmost of all cities, sometimes referred to as Iceland's Smokey Bay. The Hallgrims Kirkja is one of Reykjavik's main landmarks. This Neo Gothic church was built between 1945 and 1986. The church facade was designed to symbolize basalt columns, with room for a congregation of up to 1,200. Unfortunately, its architect died prior to its completion. It was named after a famous religious minister and poet of the 17th century, Hallgrímur Pétursson. Both its design and large dimensions are impressive. Its clean, modern lines are reminiscent of medieval church architecture, and it's an uplifting sight compared to many a somber Gothic religious building. The building has splendid acoustics. Thus, the back of the seats can be lowered, and its interior can be transformed into a concert hall. Its large organ came from Germany and was installed in 1992. The congregation sits facing the direction of the organ. Typical Icelandic pragmatism. The 76-meter-high tower provides a fine view across the city and the sea. The church's illuminated cross can still be seen from a distance of 100 meters. Leif Erikson discovered America 500 years prior to Columbus. His achievements have been commemorated with an impressive statue. This sculpture was the work of Sterling Calder. It was gifted by the USA to commemorate the 1,000-year-old colonization of Iceland. This historic occasion is highlighted by the monument in front of the square. It pays homage to the great discoverer and also to the pioneering spirit of the Icelandic people. The city's colourful houses, of which few are no higher than 3 stories, are not subject to strict building regulations. Tjörnin is located in the centre of the city. A wonderful small lake surrounded by spacious parks. The new City Hall is also located there. Reykjavik is situated amid a diverse volcanic landscape. The city is dominated by the massive Mount Esja. The bright red, green and blue houses are very picturesque. In the 20th century, long after its earliest settlements, Reykjavik saw much expansion. Only 300 people lived here in 1801. But 100 years later, the population had grown to just under 6,000. Due to the lack of further building land in the center of Reykjavik, its city hall was built on an artificial island. This statue features the champion of Iceland's independence, Jón Sigurðsson. Each year, the Icelanders celebrate their national holiday on the 17th of June. The Danish king, Christian VIII, abolished Iceland's monarchy in 1848. Thus, Jón Sigurðsson saw the realization of his dream. Krists Kirkja is the city's main Catholic church. In 1989, the Pope preached there. It marked the first visit of the Pontiff to Iceland. Full freedom of religion was promised to the people in the Constitution of 1874. In 1929, the church was consecrated. Just as with the Hallgrims Kirkja, its architecture was inspired by the simple lines of Iceland's basalt formations. Reykjavik's Catholic Church was the island's first architect-designed building. The city contains 3 churches. Most of the island's early settlers were heathen, with only a few Christians. The turn of the millennium was also a celebration of the Icelandic people's Christian faith. The marble font is a fine example of skilled craftsmanship. Great care and attention to detail prevail in this fascinating work. This imposing religious building can seat a congregation of around 500 for both prayer and meditation. In 874 AD, the first settler, a Norwegian by the name of Ingolfur Arnesson, built his house on wooden posts that he cast into the sea until they reached the shore. Perlan, or pearl. Every 5 minutes, a huge jet of water gushes out of the ground. It simulates the eruption of the Strokor geyser. This building is a successful combination of vastness, high-tech, and entertainment. Its tanks contain 24 million litres of thermal water. Perlan also features a large winter garden and exhibition hall. Because of its excellent acoustics, the building is also ideal for music events. This futuristic-looking structure was built above Perlan's hot water tanks. It's located on the 61-meter-high Höskulur Hill. The hot water from its springs comes from Reykjavik and its environs. These bubbling warm water springs and their therapeutic qualities were also known by the first settler, Ingólfur Arnarsson. The female water carrier on Gulfskali Hill was created by Asmundur Sveinsson. The artist's work is a combination of cubist and archaic elements. In the Botanical Garden, there are more than 5,000 plants. Due to its remote location and volcanic activity, Iceland became a barren land. The island's scant vegetation and almost total lack of forests makes the Botanical Garden of great interest to amateur botanists. Colourful flowers, ornamental cabbages and various mosses are the island's pride and joy. Everything that grows in Iceland is to be found here, and it's well tended to each day. The numerous flowers that grow between the island's stones and rocks add a touch of colour. Berries, herbaceous plants, and even a type of orchid are also to be found here. The character of the island's vegetation ranges from Arctic to North European. There are even a few lilies. On the large plains of the island, there are 500 varieties of moss and 450 types of lichen. These include the Arctic willow herb and, in the marshlands, cotton grass. Narrow, elegant bridges span across the splendid ponds of the Botanical Garden. A popular destination for the inhabitants of Reykjavik, both young and old alike. Small forests of conifers are the only real sign of nature on this remote and barren island. The old town extends between the harbour and Tjörnin lake. It's dominated by administrative buildings as well as numerous shops and banks. In 1263, Iceland was a Norwegian territory, and from 1380 came under Danish rule. This marked the beginning of a long period of foreign control. At the beginning of the 15th century, half of its inhabitants died due to the plague. In 1874, the island was awarded its own constitution by the King of Denmark. Reykjavik attracted much world attention by way of the American-Soviet conference that was held there in 1986 and attended by Presidents Reagan and Gorbachev. Chimneys are a rarity in Reykjavik. The majority of its houses are heated by geothermic water. Indeed, many of its pavements and streets are heated, a convenient asset that saves much money on snow clearance and makes life a lot easier for the local population. In Iceland, the summer months are bright, but in spring and autumn there are long periods when there is little daylight. And July is the time of the famous midnight sun. Thanks to the Gulf Stream, the island enjoys a relatively temperate climate with cool summers and quite mild winters. Ingólfur Arnarson, Iceland's first settler, looks pensively across the old town and harbour. This courageous pioneer was the island's first Norwegian immigrant. The Norwegians brought several Celtic slaves and servants to the desolate island. In around 930 AD, Iceland had a population of 60,000. This 4-meter-high statue was created in 1907 by the famous sculptor Einar Jónsson. The harbour was built in 877 AD by the Normans. In 1786, Reykjavik returned to being a trading city. Large cruise ships are a common sight in the harbour. From here they travel to Greenland, Spitsberg and the Arctic. The fishing industry plays an important economic role in Iceland. It accounts for about 80% of its export trade. Cod, haddock and coalfish are among the rich prizes that are offered up by the North Atlantic. Iceland is well known for its deep-sea fishing. Boats of all shapes and sizes lie at anchor in Reykjavik's harbour, and its large luxury yachts belong to both the local and international owners. To prevent overfishing, Iceland has extended its territorial waters to 200 sea miles. The Icelandic fishermen are some of the highest paid fishermen in the world. In summer, The temperature of the North Atlantic is 10 degrees Celsius and in winter 6 degrees. Iceland is the second largest and also the most sparsely inhabited island in Europe. It has a university, a technical high school, and an oceanic research institute. Whale watching is the ideal way to experience the giants of the deep. The trips last between 3 and 10 hours and are a real adventure. A single seagull relentlessly follows the ship. Wrapped in warm clothing and armed with a pair of binoculars, the travellers scan the sea in eager anticipation. Along with the many fjords in the north, east and west, and the bays in its south, the small island has a coastline of 5,000 kilometres. The whales are close by. Next, dolphins join the seagulls. The cute sea mammals swim alongside the ship and leap high into the air. The whales come to the surface frequently for air. Some can remain underwater for over an hour, while others resurface after only a few minutes. They're mostly minke, humpback and fin whales, but occasionally there are also blue whales. Up to 50 centimetres of fat protect them from the loss of body heat. Lumen and kittiwakes nest in crowded colonies between the rocks. The number of bird varieties in Iceland is approximately 227, 78 of which nest there. The Blue Lagoon is the most popular bathing location in Iceland. With a water temperature of 38 degrees Celsius, it's the perfect treatment for both body and soul. Steam and warm water are very popular with Icelanders. According to the daylight conditions, its colour ranges somewhere between turquoise and dark blue. The salt lake of the Svartsengi geothermal power station is so full of minerals that it's a healing remedy for various types of skin disease. Historic sites, high-tech buildings, and the charm of a small town. All this is Reykjavik, a remote metropolis built on fire and ice.